Hello, fellow control engineers. Welcome once again to another entry in our MATLAB course for beginners. My name is Sergio Castaño and I welcome you to our course. First of all, if you haven't watched all the videos in our course, here is the link so you can see the entire playlist. In today's video, we're going to learn how MATLAB displays different types of number notation. We are going to learn how to use scientific notation, look at formats for large numbers, long formats for small numbers, short, and we'll see what other options MATLAB offers us for displaying numerical results. So let's get started with today's video. If you like, you can increase the playback speed of the video to make the explanation much faster or more dynamic. Alright friends, so today we're going to look at display formats in MATLAB. In MATLAB, several display formats are available. No matter which display format you choose, MATLAB uses double precision floating point numbers in its calculations. Exactly how many digits are used depends on your calculation. However, changing the display format does not change the precision of your results. Unlike some other programs, MATLAB handles both integers and decimals as floating point numbers. Let's take a look then. Let's start with the display format in scientific notation. When is scientific notation used? Well, it is used to express very large or very small numbers as values with a number between 1 and 10 multiplied by a power of 10. So let's look at an example. Avogadro's number is an extremely large number. We can enter this number in MATLAB, but the most appropriate way to do it is through scientific notation. So let's enter it in MATLAB to see how it's done. Alright friends, we're here in the MATLAB environment and we're going to enter Avogadro's number, which is an extremely large number. So what we're going to do is this last step, which is to move the decimal point to the left until it gets here, right before the 6. Then we're going to write the 6, the decimal point, and the numbers that follow. In this case, the significant digits would be 0, 22. Since we've moved the decimal point to the left, we need to use scientific notation here. Scientific notation is simply written with an E. That tells us it's an exponent with base 10. And all we do is enter the number of places we move to the left. If you count from this last position to here, to the 6, you'll get 23 places. So we write E23, which represents the 23 spaces we moved in Avogadro's number, and then we simply press enter and we'll have our number expressed in exponential format or in scientific notation. Scientific notation is also used for extremely small numbers, for example the diameter of an atom. Here we can see that the diameter of an atom is a very small number. We can also enter this number in MATLAB simply by moving this decimal point right after the 1. So it would be 1.4 and then we write, in this case, the exponent, which is E, and we count how many places we move the decimal point. If you count, it will be 10. In this case, since we are moving the decimal point to the right, we use the negative sign. And now we have the diameter of an atom expressed in scientific notation. However, MATLAB also offers us other types of formats to display its results in the outputs. Let's take a look at some of them. We have, for example, the long format, which displays results with 14 decimal places. So if we are here in MATLAB, let's remember that when we assign a variable, for example, t equals 8, it will show me the number 8, a single digit, and that is the default format the software uses. But we could also consider entering a decimal number, for example, and we see that it will show me 4 decimal places. Even though I typed y equals 9.1, it shows me 9.10003 4 decimal places. If we apply the long format, then we will display 14 decimal places. So to change the format, we simply type format space and then long. We are telling it to show us the long format. With that, if we enter 9.1, now it will show me the long format, which will have 14 decimal places. Let's look at the bank format, which only displays the result with 2 decimal places. So if we type format bank here and then enter a decimal number, for example 5.435678. Notice that I just entered a number with 6 decimal places, but since I set it to the bank format, when I press enter, it will only show me 2 decimal places and it will round to the last digit. In this case, it rounds the last digit to 4. But, for example, if I take that number I just entered and assign it to a variable, for instance p, then if I do a calculation with p, let's say p divided by 43, internally it will perform the calculation using the entire number with all its decimal places, but on the screen it will only show me 0.13 because we had set it to only display the bank format on the screen. So this doesn't mean that MATLAB loses its precision. Internally, it will perform all calculations correctly, but it will only display the result on the screen in the way I specified. Another display or output format in MATLAB is format short, which is the default format. If we use format short, it will only display 4 decimal places. So again, if we type here for example p divided by 43, now we see that instead of the 0.13 that was shown in format bank, it will now display more decimal places. 0.1264. And let's do the experiment. If we press the up arrow here, remember that if we press the up arrow key, we can retrieve previous commands. For example, of format long, let's see what we get for p divided by 43. We see that now it shows me the 14 decimal places. So we can see how we can change the display formats in the MATLAB prompt output to visualize our data in a better way. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this information and the MATLAB course. Remember that up here I'm leaving you the link that goes directly to the playlist containing the MATLAB course content. There is another display format called Format Plus. Basically, this format displays the plus or minus signs of the elements in a matrix. If a value is positive, then we'll see the plus sign. And if a value is negative, then we'll see the minus sign. Let's see how it works. Let's create a vector k here. If you haven't seen the video about vectors yet, here's the link so you can watch that video on vectors. Let's create this vector here with several elements. 9. So we create this vector k, which gets all its elements. The last format we entered was the format long. That's why it shows me all the elements in long format. And now let's set the format to mask. First, let's set the format to short. Let's look at k again. This would then be our vector k. And now we'll set the format to mask and see how our vector k looks. If we look at our vector k now with this format mask, it will only show me the signs that are inside the vector. We see that this is not positive, so show me more. This 3 is negative, so it shows me a minus. This 4 is positive, so it shows me a plus, then minus, plus, plus, and minus. It's simply showing me the signs that are inside vector k. Let's look at another format, which is format rat, which simply displays numbers as rational numbers, that is, as fractions. So let's create this variable u equal to 0.5. We see that we have our variable 0.5. Now, if we change our format to format rat, there we change our format. Let's now call our variable u to see how it displays it. It will show it to us as if it were a fraction, so it shows it to me as 1/2. Perfect. Let's look at other formats. For example, when numbers become too large or too small for MATLAB to display them in the default format, MATLAB will automatically express them in scientific notation, as we saw at the beginning of this video. If we enter a made-up number here, extremely large. Notice that here I just typed in this extremely large number. If I press enter, MATLAB will automatically convert it to scientific notation. So with scientific notation, I can also use different types of display formats so that MATLAB shows it to me in a long or a short condensed way. Let's see. If we use format short e, numbers in scientific notation will have 4 decimal places, which is what we're seeing here. Numbers with 4 decimal places, simply format short e, which is the default setting. If we enter this large number, it will display the number in scientific notation with 4 decimal places. We know that scientific notation is expressed with the e, and here it's to the 32nd power. This means that the decimal point, which is at the end here, has been moved by MATLAB next to the 4 and is expressed in scientific notation. But it can also be displayed in format long e, which shows numbers in scientific notation with 14 decimal places. Let's do that here. Format long, scientific notation L, E. And let's enter that huge number again, and you'll see that now it will once again display the number in scientific notation, but with 14 decimal places. Well, friends, that's all for today's video. We have now learned how to use the output format in MATLAB to display results in a way that is more suitable for us, much more comfortable, and in this way we can continue working and making progress on our own engineering projects. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next entry of our MATLAB for Beginners course. Take care. See you later. You can follow me on my social media, subscribe to my channel by clicking on my photo and activating the notification bell, and don't forget to watch the next video.